In a dense forest, there lived two animals, a wise old elephant named Dara and a mischievous monkey named Kavi. Despite their differences in age and demeanor, they were the best of friends and spent their days exploring the forest and sharing stories. One day, as they wandered through the woods, they came across a beautiful pond. The water was clear and still, reflecting the bright blue sky overhead. Dara dipped his trunk into the water, taking a long drink, while Kavi swung from the trees, chattering happily. Suddenly, a fierce storm swept through the forest, drenching everything in its path. The rain pounded the ground, turning the pond into a churning, muddy mess. Dara tried to drink from the water, but it was too murky and foul-tasting. Kavi swung from tree to tree, but the branches were slick and treacherous. As the storm raged on, Dara and Kavi sought shelter under a nearby tree. Dara closed his eyes and focused on his breathing, while Kavi fidgeted and fretted, unable to sit still. After a few moments, Dara opened his eyes and looked at Kavi. "Do you see how the storm has changed the pond?" he asked. Kavi looked at the water, which was now a roiling brown mass. "Yes," he said, "it's disgusting." "But it is still water," Dara said. "It still nourishes the plants and animals of the forest. It is still a part of the natural cycle of life." Kavi thought about this for a moment. "I guess you're right," he said. The storm eventually passed, and the pond slowly returned to its clear, sparkling state. Dara and Kavi continued on their journey, learning from each other and enjoying the beauty of the forest. Years passed, and Dara grew old and feeble. Kavi, who had become more mature and responsible over time, took care of his friend, bringing him food and water and making sure he was comfortable. One day, as they sat under their favorite tree, Dara looked up at Kavi with a wise gleam in his eye. "Do you remember the storm?" he asked. Kavi nodded. "Of course." "It was a reminder that everything in life is impermanent," Dara said. "We must appreciate the beauty and wonder of the world around us while we can, for it will not last forever." Kavi nodded again, understanding the deeper meaning behind his friend's words. "Thank you for teaching me that," he said. Dara smiled. "Thank you for being my friend," he said. And with that, the two animals sat together in peaceful silence, listening to the gentle rustling of the leaves and the distant chatter of the other creatures in the forest. As the days went by, Dara's health began to deteriorate further. Kavi knew that his time with his friend was running out, but he refused to leave Dara's side. He spent every moment he could with the wise old elephant, sharing stories and memories, and learning from his vast knowledge of the forest. As the days went by, Dara's health began to deteriorate further. Kavi knew that his time with his friend was running out, but he refused to leave Dara's side. He spent every moment he could with the wise old elephant, sharing stories and memories, and learning from his vast knowledge of the forest. One day, as they were sitting under their favorite tree, Dara looked up at Kavi with a wistful expression. "I wish I could give you something to remember me by," he said. Kavi looked at him with tears in his eyes. "You've already given me so much," he said. "Your wisdom, your kindness, your friendship. I will never forget you." Dara smiled. "I have one more gift for you," he said. "Something that will remind you of our time together and of the beauty of the world we live in." He leaned over and plucked a leaf from the tree they were sitting under. It was a vibrant shade of green, with delicate veins and a gentle curve. He held it out to Kavi. "This leaf may seem insignificant, but it is a symbol of the interconnectedness of all things," he said. "It is a reminder that we are all part of the same vast and wondrous universe, and that even the smallest actions can have a profound impact." Kavi took the leaf and held it gently in his hands. He looked at it for a moment, then looked up at Dara with gratitude and love in his eyes. "Thank you," he said. "I will treasure this leaf always, and I will never forget the lessons you have taught me." Dara closed his eyes and let out a contented sigh. "I am at peace knowing that I have been able to share my knowledge and wisdom with you," he said. And with that, the wise old elephant closed his eyes and passed away, surrounded by the beauty and wonder of the forest he had called home for so many years. Kavi stayed with him for a long time, holding the leaf in his hands and remembering all the happy times he had spent with Dara. He knew that his friend's spirit would live on in the natural world around him, and that he would always be a part of the forest he loved so much. And so Kavi continued to explore the forest, learning and growing every day, and always carrying the memory of his dear friend with him. He knew that even in death, Dara's wisdom and kindness would continue to guide him through life, and that he would always be a part of the interconnected web of existence that stretched out across the universe.